Hey guys, what's up? Let's do our overnight betting preview for tomorrow night's games. Friday, February the 3rd. There are 8 games on the schedule. I got 3 leans for tomorrow night. But as always, we're going to break down each one of these games and see what we can expect. First game on the schedule, Charlotte at Detroit. Detroit is favored by 1. I had Detroit also favored by 1 point. I would have probably had Charlotte favored in this game, but they are going to be on the second night of a back-to-back. They did play a hard-fought game in Chicago. They were close towards the end, but the final score doesn't really do them justice. The game was a lot closer than the final score. I think they lost by 16, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check that real quick. They lost by 16 in Chicago. No injuries for Charlotte, guys. Charlotte is a superior team. Detroit is in the trio, I believe, with San Antonio and Houston as the worst teams in the league. Charlotte, we all know, has had a lot of injury problems this year so far, but they have gotten LaMelo Ball and Gordon Hayward back in the lineup. This automatically does help them. They are not as bad as their record shows. The Pistons are favored only, I think, because Charlotte is going to be on the second night of a back-to-back. I'm leaning Charlotte in this game to win. It's not one of my official leans, but I do expect Charlotte to possibly come away with this game. Next game, Portland at Washington. Washington favored by 4.5. I had Washington favored by 5. The reason I had this line so high, it is kind of high if you think about Portland. They did get a nice win in Memphis the other night, but they did lose Jeremy Grant in that game with concussion. He did hit him. He hit his head after getting fouled. He fell back and hit the back of his head. They kept him out with a concussion, the concussion protocol. Usually, guys, when something like this happens, players don't come back the next game. He is listed as questionable, but I think it's more of a doubtful over there. Yusuf Nurkic also injured his calf. He's not going to be playing most likely tomorrow either. That's going to be -2 starters for Portland. Washington, we all know, is on a big winning streak. Their number currently is at 6, and they have jumped up to the 9th spot in the Eastern Conference. This line, this 4.5, guys, is a little low if you take into consideration the 2 players that are going to be missing for Portland. Well, we do have to wait and see officially when Grant is going to be missing from the game. This line, I do expect it to bump up, but I am kind of leaning on Portland in this game. This is going to be one of my leans. I think Portland still does have enough, and they can also pick up with momentum that they left in Memphis. And remember, the second half where they did all the damage, they did it without Jeremy Grant and Nurkic, so they are capable of doing the damage here. I'm going to be leaning with Portland in this game. Next game, Sacramento at Indiana. Sacramento favored by 3. I had Sacramento favored by 1.5. The reason I had Sacramento favored so low, guys, is for the simple fact that De'Aaron Fox is listed as out for tomorrow for personal reasons. Now, what are those personal reasons? We don't know. But one thing is for sure, he is upset. He is upset, and rightfully so, in my opinion. He got snubbed from the All-Star game. He's not going to be. He didn't get announced as a reserve, even though he's having a fantastic year. And the Kings are 3rd in the West. It's kind of strange. A lot of players are going to be missing on the All-Star game that do deserve it, but there are only a certain amount of spots there. I do believe that if somebody is going to miss with injury, he'll probably be the first one to get picked up on the squad. But as of now, he's not going to be playing. This -3, guys, I would have expected a line like this if De'Aaron Fox was playing. This -3 without him playing is a little strange. What would the line would have been if he was playing? -5, -6. A big line, guys. Indiana, we know, is going to be on the second night of a back-to-back. They lost to the Lakers tonight. They were up for most of that game. They ended up losing at the end by a point. Tyrese Halliburton came back. First came back. He performed well. The team showed a lot of energy for most of the game, but at the end couldn't finish it off, got the L. In my opinion, guys, Sacramento with this -3 and without De'Aaron Fox is a big line. This will definitely draw money on the Pacers. The excitement that is around the team. People love betting the Pacers, especially at home. And why not? They do have a pretty good record, but I don't know why the books are giving so many points here, even though they are on a second night of back-to-back. I'm going to be leaning with the Kings in this game. Next game, Phoenix at Boston. Boston favored by 9.5. I had Boston favored by 9. Phoenix is starting a road trip. Devin Booker still out, but I did read that in most likely 2 or 3 more games from now, he will be back in the lineup. Slowly, Phoenix is starting to get their pieces back. They should have problems over there in Boston. Boston, we know, is superior, even with Booker in the lineup. Now, this 9.5 is accurate. Could be a letdown spot. You don't know. Phoenix could cover the spread. I don't expect them to win the game. But Boston lately has been a little shaky, a little inconsistent in their performances. Marcus Smart is still going to be out in that game. No lean, actually, because the line is accurate. Next game, Toronto at Houston. Toronto is favored by 6. I had Toronto favored by 5.5. This is a half point higher. Houston, guys, surprisingly, is on a 2-game winning streak. Do you believe that? That's how the NBA has been going lately. Even Houston is winning. Toronto, they did lose in their last game to Utah. They made a late push, ended up losing that game by 3. The road trip is slowly winding down. I think they only have a couple of games left. They have lost 2 straight now. Let me just take a quick look at their schedule, see how many road games are left on their trip. They got Houston tomorrow, and then they're going to be closing it out at Memphis. Toronto is the favorite. They are the better team. But like I say in almost every video that they play, the trade deadline is not their friend. A lot of players are on the hit list. I've heard Van Vliet's name. Anunoby sounds like a guarantee that he's going to be off the team. And you never know. Gary Trent. There's just a bunch of players on the team that their names are just floating around. I don't know how focused they can be. This is a tough game. Houston has won 2 straight. They could carry the momentum, guys, and make it 3. As crazy as that sounds, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I don't have a lean in this game. You guys know how I feel about the Houston Rockets. Next game, Orlando at Minnesota. Minnesota is favored by 5. I had Minnesota favored by 4.5. Minnesota got a great win in their last game against the Warriors. They were down for the majority of the game, but they made a late push. And D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards were just took over that game. Ended up giving the Timberwolves another impressive win. Anthony Edwards snubbed from the All-Stars. I did expect this young kid to make it. He's gonna make it plenty of times. He's gonna be I expect him, at least for the next 10 years, from next year on, to make the All-Star team every year if healthy. This kid is just incredible. He did not make the reserves. Who knows? He might want to show some people up tomorrow. This -5 is a little high. Orlando will get the love I expect in this game, especially if Rudy Gobert doesn't play his second straight game. He missed the last game against Golden State. He is listed as questionable for tomorrow. Same with Taurean Prince. Those 2 listed as questionable. We'll have to check on their status. Orlando, I think, is at full strength. Orlando, guys, we know is capable of beating anybody and losing to anybody. A very inconsistent team. It's normal to see this when you're dealing with a lot of young players on the roster. Orlando is rebuilding. They do have a lot of talent on their team, but inconsistency is one of the things that teams go through. The growing pains. Minnesota, it's tough to take them, I think, with this number. But they are the favorites to win in tomorrow's game. Next game, Philly at San Antonio. Philly favored by 10. I had Philly favored by 8.5. James Harden, another snub for the Sixers. He didn't make the All-Star team. One of the players that took to Twitter, along with Joel Embiid, talking about how crazy it is that he didn't make the team. A lot of players were left off. The teams, guys, that do have players that were left off are going to be extra motivated in tomorrow night's games. And in the next games to come, they're going to want to prove something. Philly could be one of these teams. I had this line lower with the 8.5. Philly could run away with this with the -10. They could blow the Spurs out. I would not be surprised. It's not one of my official leans, but I do expect Philly to get the job done in this game. Last game, Atlanta at Utah. Utah favored by 1.5. I had Utah favored by 2. Lauri Markkanen made the All-Star team for Utah. Trae Young was left off for the Hawks. And DeJounte Murray left off. These players, guys, are definitely going to be motivated. Tomorrow, Atlanta, I am kind of looking for Atlanta. They did play a very good game in their previous one against Phoenix. They blew the Suns out from start to finish. Just didn't give the Suns any chance whatsoever. They are 1.5 point dogs. I do expect the motivation tomorrow. Could give them the little extra that they need and possibly double up those wins. I'm going to be leaning with Atlanta in this game. So, guys, that is our 8-game schedule, what it looks like tomorrow. My official leans as of now, my overnight leans are with Sacramento -3, Portland +4.5. Even though I do expect this line to be higher tomorrow when Jeremy Grant most likely will be announced out. We could see a 5.5 over here, and Atlanta with a +1.5. These are my 3 overnight leans as of now, but as always, it is still early, guys. We are just taking a first look so we can be a little extra prepared coming into tomorrow night's games. Take a look at the opening numbers and see where the bookies have valued each one of these games. And that is pretty much it, guys. I'm not going to get into more detail right now. We're going to talk about more of these games in tomorrow's video. So, everybody, have a good rest, and I will see you in the next video. Later.